Caitlin Clark finally got back at those mean players last night when the Sun team had to play one more game to see who would win against the Lynx team. Marina Mabrey got hurt really bad, and it was like getting her back for trying to pick a fight with Caitlin 2 weeks ago. Marina Mabrey was really mad, and you could see her yelling at herself on the basketball court. Caitlin finally got back at these players who have been trying to gang up on her during games. Marina is not the only one who got what was coming to her. Right after DJ Carrington poked Caitlin Clark in the eye, she got knocked down hard by another Lynx player. Players from the Sun team are now getting paid back for being mean. You see, these rough players don't like it when other people are rough with them. DJ Carrington was about to get really angry, but her teammates held her back, just like what happened with Marina. They're finally getting a taste of what they've been doing to others while Caitlin is at home watching it all happen. Tell me with a serious face that there's nothing bad happening to Caitlin Clark. Tell me with a serious face that they're not picking on her. The WNBA is going to have to fix this problem. The NBA figured out in the 1980s and early 1990s that they had to stop all that rough playing because it wasn't fun to watch and it didn't make people want to come to games like high-scoring games do. By the way, that wasn't even called a really bad foul, but at the same time they want to call Alyssa Boston for every tiny little touch foul. As much as Marina's mean playing can sometimes look like she's just trying really hard to win, it has many times gone too far, making fans, sports experts, and other players wonder if she plays fair or dirty. This all got really bad when Marina found herself getting hurt by what many people saw as a really mean payback when she got fouled really hard by a Minnesota Lynx player during a big, important game. This left Marina holding her face, clearly hurting a lot, and maybe even more importantly, really upset emotionally. The sight of her screaming on the court, clearly shaken up and not able to hide how frustrated she was very different from the tough image she usually showed a hard, tough player who would do anything to win. For many people watching, it was a moment where Marina finally got what she deserved. Marina had earned a reputation for pushing the limits of what was okay on the court, walking the line between playing hard to win and playing in a mean, unsporting way. And now, in the eyes of those watching, she was paying the price. You had people fighting really hard the entire season, not wanting it to be this way because other people weren't getting praise or she was getting too much attention or she gets special treatment from the referees or I'm going to check her when the ball isn't near her just because. What made this moment even more shocking was what had happened before. Just months earlier, Marina had been involved in a big public fight with Caitlin Clark, another top player known for her amazing skills and staying calm under pressure. During that game, Marina's mean behavior had been criticized with many people, saying she was deliberately trying to throw Clark off her game with rough playing that was almost like fouling, while Clark stayed calm throughout the fight. It was clear to those watching that Marina had crossed a line, and yet, at the time, it seemed like she had gotten away with it. No real punishment, no serious consequences. That is until now. That all I know is when they got kicked out of the playoffs, fewer people came to games and fewer people watched on TV. If the WNBA is smarter, and I get it, I understand why people aren't watching the foul she got during the game against the Minnesota Lynx was seen by many as the universe finally making things fair. Marina, who had spent much of her career pushing the limits of what was okay on the court, was now being forced to face the consequences of her actions. The hit she took wasn't just physical, it was a reminder that in basketball, just like in life, your actions eventually catch up with you. I get sad when I talk about this a little bit because we're still not talking about basketball. Now, still not allowed to focus on basketball skills and playing. It wasn't just the hit itself that had such a big effect. It was what it represented. For years, Marina had been able to play her rough style of basketball without facing any serious consequences. But now, in a single moment, she was being forced to face the reality of her actions. The foul she got wasn't just a physical blow, it was a message that her style of playing had finally caught up with her. The pain she felt was as much in her feelings as it was in her body, and it showed in how she reacted. 22-year-old Caitlin Clark, who has single-handedly changed the game, brought in millions of new young fans and old fans. How about the TV ratings in college basketball because of her record-breaking ratings? And now, in her very short WNBA career, she's breaking records. Isn't that a win for everybody? Yes, Black players too, no matter what race they are, no matter who they choose to date. Like, what are we doing? And Deonna Carrington, another player known for her rough and often controversial style of playing, also found herself facing the consequences of her actions. Carrington had previously made headlines for giving Caitlin Clark a black eye during a game in what many saw as a deliberate and dirty move. The incident left a lasting mark, both literally and figuratively, as it raised questions about how far players were willing to go to gain an advantage on the court. As I followed through, and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That, not even like the type of player that I am in the game. They caught you guys laughing about it. No, I just told you. I didn't even know. I hit her. The foul on Clark wasn't just a random thing that happened. It was seen by many as a planned move by Carrington to throw one of the league's top players off her game. Clark, who had been dominating the game up until that point, was clearly shaken by the hit. The black eye she got wasn't just a physical injury, it was a symbol of how rough and mean the playing had become in the WNBA. Fans were really angry, and many called for stricter punishments for players who acted like this. The league versus Caitlin Clark, and that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlin Clark's popularity could take it to the next level. But just like with Marina, Karma had other plans for Carrington. During another heated game, Carrington found herself on the receiving end of a really bad foul. This time the hit was so bad that her teammates had to step in to hold her back as she prepared to hit back. Carrington, who had always been proud of being tough and not backing down in the face of trouble, was now the one being held back. But her teammates knew that fighting back would only make things worse, and they quickly stepped in to prevent this situation from getting worse. To fully understand how important this moment was, we need to go back to the incident that started it all, Carrington's famous foul on Caitlin Clark, the game between the Connecticut Sun and the Indiana Fever. Was intense from the start, with both teams fighting for every point, but things took a bad turn when Carrington, in what many saw as a deliberate and mean act, poked Clark in the eye. The result was a black eye for Clark and a huge controversy for Carrington. Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye. Caitlin said in the media after that was accidental, that was unintentional, but we saw reporters making that situation seem worse, trying to make more of it, speaking to amplify the wrong stories. As a result of that, Deonna Carrington started getting threats based off of an incident that Caitlin Clark said this was a basketball type of thing. I pushed through. We play a game. She played a good game after that, so she minimized it tried to erase it and tried to send a message like, y'all, there's nothing here. That was one incident for Carrington. This was a moment that would define her career. While she had always been known as a physical player, this incident crossed a line for many fans. The deliberate nature of the foul, combined with the visible injury it caused, made it clear that Carrington was willing to go to extreme lengths to gain an advantage. But as we've seen, karma has a way of evening the score, how it affected you. And through the rest of the game, thanks. Yeah, obviously got me pretty good in I don't think it affected me, honestly. I felt like I got good shots. They just didn't go down, and obviously a tough time for that to happen. The foul Carrington got in her next game wasn't just a random act of violence. It was seen by many as payback for her previous actions. Just like Marina, Carrington was now facing the consequences of her rough style of playing. And just like Marina, her reaction was one of pure rage and frustration. She had been used to being the one in control, the one who could dictate the pace of the game through her physicality. But now she was the one being fouled, the one who had to hold back her emotions as her teammates pulled her away from the fight. What's interesting about these incidents is the bigger trend that they show in the WNBA for years. Players like Marina and Carrington had been able to get away with their rough style of playing. While there were occasional fines or suspensions, it often felt like the league was ignoring the rough tactics being used by some of its most physical players. But now things seem to be changing. Players are no longer willing to sit back and accept being on the receiving end of dirty fouls. Instead, they're fighting back, both literally and